Hello everyone. Welcome to another video capsule of Bad and Shots. Today we are going to discuss few issues on the education sector. As per VAT laws, supply of education services as well as goods or services in relation to education services should be zero rated subject to the following conditions. Firstly, the curriculum as well as the education institution is recognized by the federal or local competent government authority regulating the education sector. Secondly, for higher education services, the education institution should either be owned by the federal or local government, or more than 50% of the funding should be provided by the local or federal government. For goods and services, they should be supplied directly in relation to the zero rated education services. Despite complying with these conditions, there are services which may be subject to VAT at 5%. Application fees. Application fees is paid at the time of submitting an application to obtain admission in the education institution. One may consider that such fees should be zero rated as this pertains towards rendering education services. However, only services which are rendered to students enrolled in the education institution are zero rated. At the time of making the application, the applicant is not enrolled in the education institution. Hence, the application fees should be subject to VAT at 5%. Debentures. Certain corporates pay funds to education institutions to reserve the seats for children of their employees for a certain period of time. Such funds are recorded as debentures and amortized over the period of the contract. Considering that the funds are paid only to allocate the seats for the employees of the corporate, these may not qualify as education services and therefore be subject to VAT at 5%. VAT should be paid as per the applicable date of supply rules and not when these funds are amortized in the books of accounts. Field trips. Field trips are approved by the competent authority as part of the curriculum. Despite that, they may be subject to VAT at 5%. The important term to analyze here is whether these field trips are recreational in nature. The term recreational is not defined in the UAE VAT law. Accordingly, one has to look at the common parlance and determine whether the school trip or the field trip is recreational in nature. For example, trips to water parks, amusement parks may be considered as recreational and therefore be subject to VAT at 5%. Grants and donations are received by the education institutions to fund their operations. Whether such grants or donations are taxable or not depends on the reciprocity, that is, if any service is rendered or goods are supplied by the education institution to the donor or the sponsor, then such grants and donations are subject to VAT at 5%. Alternatively, where there is no reciprocity, then they may be considered as out of scope. Online education services. Considering the situation that we are in, most of the education institutions are rendering services online. To qualify these services as education services, they will have to fulfill the same criteria. However, if they do not fulfill the criteria of education services, then one has to determine the taxability based on the nature of services and corresponding place of supply rules. For example, if these services qualify as electronically supplied services, then depending on the place of supply, they may be treated as subject 5% or be considered as out of scope. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you liked it. Goodbye and keep safe.